Yesterday morning, an email was sent to WWE employees saying Vince McMahon will be holding a call at midday to provide an important company update. It appears to have caught many by surprise. With no prior warning, NXT was to be broadcast live that evening. According to PW Insider, the video call lasted less than 5 minutes, where McMahon outlined a number of cost-cutting measures because of the worldwide pandemic, which included releases and furloughs across the board, saying that these weren't easy decisions for him to make, that the company will be cutting back on pay for board members and executives, that plans to move WWE HQ out of Titan Towers to a new building in Stamford have been delayed, and that cuts will be made to the talent roster and overall headcount of employees. Shortly after, WWE released an official statement on these measures, confirming PW Insider's points, adding that they'll also be cutting third-party staffing and consulting, and the new HQ building will be deferred by at least 6 months. The statement boasted substantial financial resources, both available cash and debt capacity, which currently total approximately $500 million. But despite those funds, WWE will be cutting costs for an estimated monthly saving of $4 million, improving their cash flow to $140 million, and that these releases and furloughs will be effective immediately. And so began what will go down as one of wrestling's darkest ever days. The initial WWE.com article announced the immediate releases of Drake Maverick, Kurt Hawkins, Eric Young, Carl Anderson, EC3, and Leo Rush. As WWE called round individual talents to inform them they were also being terminated, the website article couldn't keep up, with many wrestlers tweeting that they've just been fired over the phone before WWE could add it to their officially announced list. Within that hour, Kurt Angle, Rusev, Zack Ryder, Luke Gallows, Heath Slater, Rowan, Sarah Logan, No Way Jose, Mike Chioda, Mike Kanellis, Maria Kanellis, Aiden English, Primo, and Epico had also been officially released. And it wasn't just on-screen talent who were being let go. PW Insider then confirmed a number of high-profile backstage producers and agents had also been released, many of whom were former WWE wrestlers themselves, working behind the scenes for decades. These included Billy Kidman, Mike Rotunda, Dave Fit Finlay, Pat Buck, Sean Daivari, Scott Armstrong, Sarah Stock, Shane Helms, and Lance Storm. Pro Wrestling Sheet then added these names haven't actually been released, presumably as the producers are actual employees of WWE rather than independent contractors like the wrestling talent. They were furloughed, not let go from the company entirely. Furloughing is where a company gives employees a temporary leave of absence, often due to economic conditions. As WWE's initial statement outlined, they currently believe the furlough will be temporary in nature and have the intention of bringing those employees back. But the releases still weren't done. WWE was seemingly working their way through people brand by brand, with the first wave of releases being from the Raw and 205 Live rosters. And the day got even darker when Sean Ross Sapp tweeted the inevitable: NXT talent is starting to be released. The names again came through in dribs and drabs. The list as of the time of this recording stands at wrestlers Deonna Purrazzo, Alexander Jaksic, Dorian Mack, Josiah Williams, and MJ Jenkins, along with Performance Center coaches Ace Steel, Kendo Kashin, and Serena Deeb. NXT wrestler and trainer Cassius Ohno has also been moved to the alumni section of WWE.com, but no official word has been issued on if he's also been released. Sean Ross Sapp tweeted that released NXT talent are being provided with 30 days of pay and then are free to do whatever they want. There's no word on whether this is the same for the WWE main roster. The releases extend to WWE's office staff too, with Andrea Lissenberger, the writer responsible for SmackDown's recent Otis and Mandy Rose storyline, posting she's also been cut, and longtime Spanish announcer Jerry Soto has confirmed he's been furloughed. WWE have only made official announcements announcements of the on-screen talent they've released. It's unknown how many backstage staff like Lissenberger have also been let go. We've been told that over 20 people were cut from WWE's social media department alone, which implies many people have lost their jobs beyond what WWE have publicly confirmed. In fact, the very reliable WrestleVotes has a ballpark figure for the eventual number of releases, tweeting, "The number of people, staff, and talent let go will be in the hundreds when it's all said and done." Well, into the hundreds, a dark day in WWE history. With the Raw cut seemingly over for now, and NXT talent also being notified, the fear is the SmackDown roster is next, with none of its drafted wrestlers so far being announced as let go. Dave Meltzer is reporting a second wave of both wrestler and non-wrestler releases is coming. Both Tom Colohue and Voices of Wrestling are reporting some of the releases so far were mutually agreed upon and came with a hefty payoff, which will presumably be those wrestlers who have multiple years still left on their contracts. Gallows and Anderson, for instance, signed 5-year contracts worth $750,000 a year just last April, and Mike and Maria Kanellis, who also re-signed with the company for 5-year deals last June. Mike revealed neither he or Maria saw their releases coming. The couple are currently weeks away from the birth of their second child. WWE's very cynical business practice of signing up talent for lengthy periods of time, despite not having any intention to use them, just to keep them away from competitors like AEW and New Japan, has massively backfired. The releases have caught everyone, most tragically the people actually being released, by surprise. Especially as, apart from holding WrestleMania in the Performance Center, WWE have pretended as though the worldwide pandemic isn't happening. So what's changed? Up until last Friday, WWE's plan was to bulk film the next month's worth of TV in one go at the Performance Center. This would have massively cut down on the amount of travel needed from talent, making it the safest way to still make WWE TV. Still, Florida officials were advising WWE to not go ahead with the tapings, as they would violate the state's stay-at-home order. The Orange County mayor and sheriff disagreed that professional wrestling was an essential service. But then last Thursday happened. The backstage panic seemingly began with WWE becoming spooked by their TV contracts. WWE's deals with Fox and the USA Network are the promotion's single largest revenue source, and a big part of how WWE have that $500 million in cash reserves. But reports started to come out that those same contracts only allow for a limited number of pre-taped shows a year. If WWE continued to pre-record Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, USA and Fox could restructure or cancel their deals. A very real possibility, with TV networks also hugely affected by the worldwide pandemic and the consequent fall in advertising revenue. Dave Meltzer has tweeted Fox or the USA Network, warning Vince about this is not speculation in the least. Around this same time, Linda McMahon's America First Action Super PAC, an organization supporting President Trump's re-election campaign, announced a $26.6 million investment in battleground states. $18.5 million of that was to go to Florida, where WWE have been taping their shows. That same day, the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, went back on previous rulings, announcing professional wrestling is now considered an essential service. And the day after that, Vince suddenly changed WWE's plans from pre-recording TV in bulk in advance to reverting back to the 3 times a week live schedule, a strategy that will pose an exponentially more dangerous risk to anyone who's on those shows, but one that will prevent Fox and USA from restructuring WWE's TV contracts for the time being. Soon after, President Trump announced the great Vince McMahon on a board of sports industry leaders who will help decide when the economy will reopen. I could make a link between those events myself, or I could instead quote the state attorney for Palm Beach County in Florida, Dave Arenberg, who sarcastically told ESPN, "How come they got an exception? That shows the problem with the process. It's haphazard. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that the McMahon family is very tight with the Trumps news. And the fact that Linda McMahon is raising $300 million for Trump's super PAC and the Florida governor is tight with the president, I'm sure it had nothing to do with that, right? Before then explicitly saying the political ties has got to be the answer. Governor DeSantis was confronted on this during a press conference yesterday where he dodged the question. Florida giving professional wrestling the go-ahead has become a lightning rod in the mainstream media in the debate over what is and isn't an essential business right now, putting WWE's ability to keep honoring their TV deals on very shaky ground. What happens if DeSantis has to go back on his decision in the face of growing criticism? This could be the driving force behind McMahon's sudden mass cost-cutting measures, which also includes the XFL filing for bankruptcy over the weekend and laying off all its staff. There's also the Q1 investors call next Thursday, for which McMahon has now changed the narrative from massively declining stock prices to look at all the measures WWE is undertaking to ensure profitability. And that's what makes this whole situation so underhand. WWE didn't need to make these cuts. According to WrestleNomics' Brandon Thurston, the cuts have been made to maintain pre-pandemic profit projections, and WWE will still have a profitable year. This isn't a case of a financially struggling company trying to survive. It's a greedy company prioritizing revenue over the people who work for them. Compare WWE's actions to the rest of the wrestling world. Yesterday, 7 of the top promotions in Japan, including New Japan, All Japan, Noah, Stardom, and DDT, all united to meet with government officials, requesting support for testing kits and compensation and protection for wrestlers out of work during these times. And Ring of Honor are still paying talent for shows they've had to cancel. Those companies have a fraction of WWE's resources available to them, and Meltzer has also revealed that of the $4 million of monthly expenses cut by WWE outlined in their statement, only $703,000 are from cutting talent. To put that in perspective, Goldberg was paid $2 million for one match in Saudi Arabia last year. If WWE just pledged 1% of their $500 million of cash reserves to a wrestler support fund, they could have paid for all the talent cut so far for over half a year. There's a saying that keeps being used a lot right now about how adversity builds character. But in this case, with WWE, adversity has revealed character. Do you think WWE made the right decision? Let me know in the comments, because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. This situation is still unfolding, with unfortunately many more releases expected to come. Make WrestleTalk.com your homepage to keep up to date with breaking stories, and follow us on Twitter at WrestleTalk_TV. Watch mine and Luke's live stream reactions to yesterday's releases by clicking the video on the right, and join us on Parts Unknown for Adam Blompier's wrestling game show Quizzlemania, where we'll try and take our mind off things. Set a reminder for that by clicking the video below there. I've been Ollie Davis, and that, very unfortunately, was wrestling.